pretty much the ceasefire resolution that was passed in the UN the other day is non-binding, right? Yep. What does that really mean? But let's listen to Kirby, what he has to say first. Let's put this video up, and we'll go into it. And as soon as he's done with that, please, Don, you've been following this situation very closely. You let us know your opinions about what's going on. Is it just gibberish? Is it just words? What was the other video? I can't remember. It wasn't Jake Sullivan. But it was asked in the State Department if he thinks this is going to change anything. He said openly no. But take a listen to what Kirby's saying over here, because he even says, like, oh, that doesn't mean Israel has to stop going after Hamas. And code for Israel doesn't have to stop bombing civilians. Take a listen. Here we are. Jamie, we don't have volume, Jamie. There's still no volume. All right, I'll play it. Give me 1 second.
By Netanyahu not to send an Israeli delegation this week. John, what was the president's reaction to the decision by Netanyahu not to send an Israeli delegation this week?
I got to tell you, Steve, we're kind of perplexed by this. A couple of points that need to be stated and, in fact, restated. Number one, it's a non-binding resolution, so there's no impact at all on Israel and Israel's ability to continue to go after Hamas. Number two, as I said in my opening statement, it does not represent a change at all in our policy. It's very consistent with everything that we've been saying we want to get done here. And we get to decide what our policy is. The Prime Minister's office seems to be indicating through public statements that we somehow changed here. We haven't. And we get to decide what our policy is. It seems like the Prime Minister's office is choosing to create a perception of daylight here when they don't need to do that. So again, no change in our policy.
What does this do to the relationship between the president and Prime Minister Netanyahu?
I have no doubt that the two leaders will have follow-on discussions as they have, as appropriate throughout this conflict.
Thank you.
All right. So there it is. It is non-binding, this resolution. What does that actually mean? I mean, I know what it really means, but it just seems like this was symbolic over here. I mean, but man, like, look, I was putting on Free Speech TV the other day, and Randy Rhodes, who is now the next line of shit libs out there, right? Like, when I started listening to a lot of those people, Tom Hartman, Randy Rhodes, I had so much faith and thought that they were going to be really something special when it came to actually fighting back against the establishment. But instead, they just became that left versus right kind of paradigm that we're witnessing today. They were even out there saying, no, Russia and China vetoed it last time. They were trying to make it seem as if the Biden administration has been for a ceasefire the whole time. I mean, it's just ridiculous. But what does this actually mean to you? How do you read into this decision? And also to give us a little insight on what you think about Netanyahu saying, well, now we're not coming. We're taking our ball and going home. Go ahead, Don.
Well, this is basically the U.S.'s resolution, even though they abstained, with some minor changes to it. It has 3 points. After a recital of, Security Council. I'm going to read it. It's like a minute to read. Mm-hmm. The Security Council, guided by the purposes and principles of the Charter of the United Nations, recalling all of the relevant resolutions on the situation in the Middle East, including the Palestinian question. That's interesting, by the way.
Yeah.
Reiterating its demand that all parties comply with their obligations under international law, blah, 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 blah. Expressing deep concern about the catastrophic humanitarian situation in Gaza Strip. Acknowledging the ongoing diplomatic efforts by Egypt, Qatar, and the United States aimed at reaching a cessation of hostilities, releasing the hostages, and increasing the provision of and distribution of humanitarian aid. That's interesting, too. 1, demands an immediate ceasefire for the month of Ramadan respected by all parties, leading to a sustainable, lasting ceasefire, and also demands the immediate and unconditional release of all hostages, as well as ensuring humanitarian access to address their medical and other humanitarian needs, and further demands the parties comply with their obligations under international law in relation to all detainees. So, on the one hand, we demand a ceasefire. We also demand the release of hostages. So the U.S. is saying, and the Israelis are not even happy with that, but they're saying this is a quid pro quo. No quid, no quo, period. And emphasizes the urgent need to expand the flow of humanitarian aid, to reinforce the protection of civilians in the Gaza Strip, and reiterates the demand for lifting all barriers to the provision of humanitarian assistance at scale, in line with international humanitarian law, as well as 2 resolutions, and then decides to remain actively seized of the matter. So this is not the resolution that has been proposed by a variety of people from the Arab group and Russia and others that says simply, stop murdering the people of Gaza. Stop bombing the shit out of Gaza. Stop now. It's illegal. Stop. The U.S., every time that's come up, either vetoed it itself or had the U.K. veto it. This mishy-mashy stuff, the entire Security Council, desperate for something, voted yes, except the U.S., which abstained. Is it meaningless? No, it's not meaningless. It's another marker of the sick, murderous nature of the government that we have right now and the genocidal war that's being conducted by that government with the assistance of its local puppet in Tel Aviv and with the full consent and acceptance of most of Western Europe.
Yeah. Well,
and people here, by the way.
Yeah. Well, you know what? This is something interesting. It only took 6 months, 35,000 deaths, and the displacement of about 2 million people to get a ceasefire. Here is the representative from the Palestinians talking about that in the UN.
It has taken 6 months. Over 100,000 Palestinians killed and maimed.
He says 100,000.
2 million displaced.
Yeah.
And famine for this council to finally demand an immediate ceasefire. A vote for humanity to prevail, for life to prevail. It has taken 6 months. Over 100,000 Palestinians killed and maimed. 2 million displaced. And famine for this council to finally demand an immediate ceasefire.
I played it twice so you can hear it. Make sure it's loud and clear. I mean, it is a little, I mean, I don't want to say it's laughable because there's so many people dying, you know, but to hear people talk about this now, like I heard Randy Rhoads talk about this the other day, right? Like, I don't know why I do it to myself. I don't know why I watch this mainstream media TV, you know, free speech TVs on the direct TV over here. But then I turn on Newsmax, I turn on, Fox News, I turn on CNN, MSNBC. I don't know why I do this, but I mean, your thoughts on this whole situation that it took 6 friggin' months, but yet people repeat it like it's like the Democrats before this the whole time. You know, they were really showing the video. Randy Rhoads was showing the video of what's his name, Trump's son-in-law over there talking about what's his name, Jesus, Jared Kushner, right? Is that his name? Talking about Gaza can have some beachfront property. You know what I'm saying? When they're ready to open back up. But your thoughts on this whole statement here from the Palestinian authorities?
Well, he's not the only one, by the way. There weeks, actually a couple of months ago now, there was a couple of different advertisement placements in Tel Aviv newspaper and one of the large national newspapers as well. I don't remember which one, in Israel. Basically trying to organize a development project on the beachfront property in Gaza that had just been cleared. Look, no matter how you slice it, you're taking 2 million people and driving them from the homes, murdering as many as you can on the way out, and then securing, quote unquote, their land. That's land theft and genocide. And it's beachfront property that also happens to sit on top of a tremendous oil reserve, and that has become a little more widely known now. You know, Ambassador Mansour, who we just saw, Sir Riyad Mansour, the Palestine's permanent representative to the UN, he's been reciting this stuff from the beginning, and before that, by the way. You know, the illegal occupation of Gaza goes back to 1967, and that illegal occupation it was conducted from land that's illegally occupied since 1948.
Yeah,
and the condition of people in Gaza, you know, 1 million, 1.5 million, 2 million, you know, as the population grows naturally and organically, it's fenced in. It's not totally under the control of a foreign occupation government. And there's conditions that are comparable to the conditions, and I'm saying this literally, to the conditions in the ghettos in Warsaw and other places that the Nazis rounded up Jews, Gypsies, and others into back in the 1930s and 40s.
Yeah. So a lot of people start talking what's going to come out of this, right? Israel warns 4 European countries against Palestinian statehood recognition. I mean, I'm just lost for words at the end of the day, because really, to tell you the truth, I don't see any of the plans by the Zionists, the globalists, whoever you want to blame for this whole situation stopping, not coming to fruition. I mean, we didn't even get a chance, Don, to talk about the whole pier they're building, right? The 2-mile pier out there that they're going to build. You know, a lot of people talk about the oil reserves they want to get a hold of that you just mentioned, but some people say that this pier is being built so that, you know, they say it's all about getting humanitarian aid in there, but a lot of people talk about the fact they're using it to take the Palestinians to disperse them all around the globe, and that's what they're going to use this little island pier for, that they're going to build right off the coast of Gaza over there. Israel warns that 4 European countries against Palestinian statehood recognition, right? I don't know what to say, but I mean, is there any chance that the Palestinians do get some statehood moving forward? I mean, they're not slowing down. And in fact, you saw the delegation wag their finger at the Biden administration, you know, tuck tail and run and say, we're not going there now. You're not doing what we're telling you to do, or you're being mean to us. You're not letting us go after Hamas. Hamas, 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 Hamas. What are your thoughts when you hear this and you see that Israel warns about the 4 European countries against Palestinian statehood recognition? Is this just a clear sign that they're going through with their ethnic cleansing no matter what?
What I think of when I see this, I think of Frederick Douglass. You know, I think of power concedes nothing without a demand. It never did, and it never will. Sometimes the demand takes the form of standing on a street corner on a soapbox and just repeating something over and over and trying to build a crowd of support. Sometimes it takes, you know, military or paramilitary form and decapitates or otherwise removes the offense in one fashion or another. The more desperate that you make people, the more desperately they will react to survive. You know, it's the cornered animal theory, I guess, or whatever. This is true of all animals, including humans. And so the more horrible the things that we see that are being done to the Palestinian people, the people that are involved in doing it can only expect, you know, to repayment in kind at some point in time if they don't, you know, allow this, you know, some other avenue. You're not going to extinguish these people. And if you do, you're not going to extinguish all of us, because we will also see what you did.